Hopefully you got my email earlier. I just gave you a little agenda for the meeting. I'm going to do some introductions to what we're going to be talking about. Dave is going to go through some key considerations or things that you should be or could be thinking about in order to get a group going. And then we'll have some questions and answers and discussion at the end. Welcome everyone. My name is Laura Collins. I'm an officer with London Friends of Green Spaces Network and Go Parks London, which is a CPRE London project. Oops, another person joining here. So just to give a bit of a background, so LFGN and Go Parks London are both groups that provide support to friends groups. Just to make sure everyone understands and is on the same page, friends groups are any sort of community group that volunteers in green spaces and blue spaces. And we are specifically focused on those London groups and providing support to them. So with Go Parks London, we do promotion activities and provide some like one-to-one support with friends groups that are just getting going. And with LFGN, we have a network where we have meetings and groups can talk to each other and meet each other and, you know, really crucially provide support because all groups are different. We've all got different green spaces and blue spaces. We all engage in different types of activities. And chances are there will be another group in London who has done and been through the same thing as you. So it's really helpful for groups to talk to each other. I just want to say as well that friends groups are really rewarding. They're fun. You get to meet people in your neighborhood and learn new skills. I've certainly learned loads about looking after a green space as a result of setting up my group in 2016. I think my key advice from having been through it relatively recently is to start slow and build up capacity slowly so that people don't feel that they're taking on too much. You know, you can do some really great, like, you know, easy activities like litter picking or bulb planting that are like, don't require a huge amount of admin to set up and are quite accessible for the community. And it's a great way of sort of building up your numbers. And Dave will speak more about that kind of thing shortly. I just want to say as well that groups have a really beneficial impact on green spaces. They improve biodiversity, they get the community to get involved and appreciate nature around them and enjoy the site more. You can host events. There's so many different things that a friends group can do. And you know, all groups do different things, like I said before. There's lots of places to go for ideas and for help, including me and Dave. So later this week, I'll send some useful notes and links so you don't have to be furiously taking notes while Dave is speaking. And also please do get in touch after the webinar today if there's anything that we can do to help. So with that, I will hand over to Dave.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, so I'm chair of the London Friends of Green Spaces Network, but I'm also chair of the National Federation of Parks and Green Spaces, which is the organisation that coordinates the whole friends groups movement. And there's 1,000 friends groups in London, and there's 7,000 across the UK. So you can see it's a big movement, and they're all independent local groups set up by people who love their local green space and want to make a difference. So it's not really rocket science. It's just a question of like, you know, how do we kick it off? Okay, I think before I'm just going to go through different aspects of setting up a new group. So under the headings of people, organisation, publicity, activities, relations with management, partnerships, and forums and networks. And then I'll end up with some, maybe a little taste of some online resources that are available for any groups. So the first thing to say about people, Obviously, you've got a group, the more people you get involved, the better. I think the important thing about a friends group is that they're there for everybody who uses that space. And really, the purpose of the group is to speak up for all users of that space as possible. And to me, that would be the first step. I mean, all of these things don't necessarily happen in sort of, chronological order, but as Laura says, every site is different, every group is different, every community is different, the issues are different. So, groups start in all kinds of weird and wonderful ways. There might be a threat to a facility in a green space. It might be just people want to start contributing by doing volunteering sessions. It might be they want to organize activities. Whatever. It might be that the council's consulting about something and people want to speak as in a collective way. So groups start in all kinds of ways. My group started 24 years ago, and we called a public meeting and 50 people turned up. So we were kind of up and running straight away. But other groups start with just, okay, I know 3 or 4 people. Let's meet up in the park. Should we form a friends group? Yes. Okay, you've made the first step. The first step is always the easiest and most difficult to take. And often people think, oh, it's going to be really complicated. I need to spend months planning. You don't. You can just get 3 or 4 people together and say, okay, let's start friends of my local space. But obviously, if you want to be taken seriously, then you need to be having open meetings that are publicized and gradually involve more and more people. So I would say, people is your biggest asset. It's not money. It's not backing from the council or whoever. Your biggest asset and number one priority all the way through is getting people involved in, and reaching out to users of that space generally. So that's the first step, is getting a few people together. So I'll move on to organisation. So again, with organisation, it doesn't have to be extremely complicated. It doesn't all have to happen at once. But really, there's no substitute for meetings. And my group has met every month for 24 years. And I have to say, every meeting is a sheer joy and pleasure to be there. No, but organization comes through meetings. It comes through having initially at least a secretary, because someone's got to be responsible for the membership, and for making sure there's minutes of meetings. I think that's really important. I've always been a fanatic about minutes of meetings. Make a note of what happens at the meeting, send it out to the people that have shown an interest, and start the next meeting, you look back on what you discussed at the previous meeting, so there's content months and so on. So I have to say, with people, I think I'm also a bit of a fanatic of getting people's email addresses. In terms of membership, it doesn't have to be a complex system. It can just be, would you like to be a member? Yes. Okay. Take their email. You're in. Some people have sign-up sheets. Some people doing it online, but obviously doing it online, that takes a bit of time to get organized. So that's our membership system in my group in Tottenham. Is just give us your email, you're in. And I think that the best way to get people's emails, to be honest, is to ask them. You're there in your local green space, talk to people, you're setting up a new group, anyone you know or people you bump into in that green space, ask them, would you like to be involved with the new group that we're setting up, the Friends? So my group now has 1,400 email members, and we don't charge, to make it as easy as possible to get involved. So in terms of long-term organization, you know, obviously, if you want to raise money and manage money, and for many other benefits, it's worth having a constitution. But that's something that I don't recommend people do straight away. Particularly if you do it quickly, often people can adopt a constitution that's not really the right one for them. So I would say start the group, start meeting monthly or so, and you know, build up the membership and then start thinking a bit more long term. So I'll move on to publicity next. So publicity, I mean, there's all kinds of publicity. Probably the most important actually is word of mouth. You know, it's a physical space, it's your green space, you're going to be there, and other people that are members are there regularly talking to people. But also, you know, eventually, once you're established, you may be managing the notice boards in your green space. That's what we do. That's another way of direct communication. But I think more usual now to get your word out is obviously social media. We have a Facebook page in my group with a couple of thousand people on it, and it's quite a lively page. Takes a bit of management, but obviously there's other social media opportunities for getting out general publicity. I always feel that an email list is important for, if you like, formal communications. So I think build up your email list and keep people informed. There's other ways of getting publicity. You know, in the long term, you can use the local press, other media. Councillors have, you know, lists of people in their local ward that are interested in stuff. All kinds of opportunities as you go on. So I'll move on now to activities. So as Laura says, you know, you want to start slow and sure, but also preferably things that everybody thinks is a good idea. You know, you don't want to start off doing something that might be controversial, and then half the users of the green space, you know, think, well, we don't like them, they're doing the wrong thing, you know. So you want to do the right thing, something positive. I mean, it depends, because if you're starting because there's a threat to the green space, okay, you're going to have to be campaigning. But if you've got lots of choice about what to do the simple, positive things, maybe activities, like Laura says, litter picking, planting bulbs. People love a nice array of new bulbs next spring. You know, daffodils, you can often get them for free. And we, you know, once you're part of our network, you know, Laura does monthly bulletins, and then we have, over the winter, we have a bulb, you know, we publicize that bulbs are available for any group and things like that. So it could be that you do organize talks or walks, picnics, anything really. Obviously in the summer, picnics are a really good way of informally meeting up and having fun and so on. So okay, so activities, whatever you feel like, there's so many opportunities. I think at the first meeting, before I just go back a little bit, at the very first meeting, so when you've got a small group together, at some point, I think to really get established as a group, you need to have a big meeting where you've really put the word out and you've encouraged local people and park users to come along, and you can have a brainstorming session where you encourage people just to talk about all the things that they'd like to see in their green space, improvements, activities, what some of the problems are. Don't just focus only on problems. Always try and focus on positives and solutions, especially when you're starting. So yeah, and if you have a kind of brainstorming, you don't mean you're going to do all those things, or certainly not do all those things at once, but it's a kind of, if you're noting those, then you've kind of got a whole range of issues to dip into, and that will come up over the months and years that the group exists. So I'm moving on now to managers. Working with managers. So obviously, if you're a community group active in a green space, we have to liaise, and we should liaise with those who manage that space, unless we manage it ourselves. So that can be quite complicated, because every council or every landowner works in different ways, has different teams. Sometimes it's hard to contact, the right person about the right issue. But I think there should be a principle commitment to working with those that manage the space, getting to know them, getting to know the right people for the right thing. If it's the trees, there may be a tree officer. If it's activities, there may be an activities person in the local council that's good to liaise with. Always good to be friendly and positive. Yes, there's going to be issues. We're not yes people. We don't have to agree with everything or be happy with everything the way it is. We're there to make improvements. So we need to be assertive, but at the same time, we need to build relationships with those that manage the space. And that's based upon, mutual respect. We want them to respect what we're doing, and vice versa. So I think that's something that takes time. All of these things I'm talking about, believe it or not, we have guidance on at the end. I'll show you some online guidance which goes into more detail into most of these things. Now, the other important people to work with, probably the most important people to work with, are partners who are active on your site. So there may be a football club or a sports group of some kind, formal or informal, who regularly use that space. There may be people that are walking dogs, not so much the professional dogs, but just people who've got dogs, There may be an adjacent school, or a residents association, or tenants association. So building partnerships is valuable in many, many different ways. First of all, obviously, it involves new people. It brings in new people into the conversation. It means they can raise issues. And it means also that if you're trying to make improvements, you're taken more seriously by those that manage the space, because you're helping to kind of bring all the key user groups together, and maybe you can identify key issues that everybody agrees with needs to be done, or whatever. So, and also it's good for in your organizing activities. They can help publicize the activities to their members and people they know. So moving on to I think it's important as a group to be linked in with other similar groups. So you feel part of a family. You can talk about issues and share good practice. And the number one way of doing that is if there's a forum of friends groups in your borough. About half of the London boroughs have active forums, and there's other boroughs that have some forums, but maybe they're not very active. And what a big issue that we are always trying to promote is to have strong forums in each borough, because then groups can support each other. They can, communicate and work with the council in a systematic way. They can share good practice and share experience generally, and everything. And what that helps also is that it encourages new groups to form, because people feel, oh, if we form a group, we can slot in to a handy support network immediately. So we really do check, if you're setting up a new group, is there a forum of such groups already in my borough? Maybe there's a number of groups, but they're not communicating with each other on a regular basis, and a forum could be created. That may be something to think about further down the line. It makes a huge difference in terms of the long-term effect of your group, that you're part of a local network. Obviously, you're part of the London network if you're a new group in London. We do monthly bulletins which we send to all groups, and we have seminars and meetings, and we just generally coordinate across London. So even if you're in a borough where there's no other groups, or there are only a few groups, you're still part of our London-wide network. So Laura's also involved with the Go Parks project, and I'm going to go a bit online now. I'm coming to the end of my kind of like spiel, if you like. I was just going to try and show you some online resources, and then maybe I'll point out the Go Parks map, and you'll see how you can actually just online view what other friends groups might be doing around London quite easily. So Laura, is there anything you want to say before I just go online?
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I've had to turn off my camera because my internet's really playing up badly. So sorry about that. I hope it's not affecting
Okay.
your streaming. I just was going to add a couple of
No.
things. So on publicity, I found with our group that actually we attracted quite a few members and volunteers just by being out in the park and doing things like planting a hedge. People would stop by and say, oh, what are you doing? Is this a group? Can I join? Actually a really great way of recruiting people. Occasionally we've even said, well, do you have a moment now? Take a spade to like help out. And that's actually worked out really well. Also, just to say that in terms of publicity, some council parks teams send out like monthly newsletters with opportunities to get involved. So if your council does that, then send in those details of your events, and that will help get some publicity as well. And then I'm not sure if Dave mentioned this, but if you're not sure if there's a forum in your area, just get in touch with me after the meeting, and I can if there is one, hopefully I can put you in touch. Or if not, I'm probably can put you in touch with a nearby friends group to kind of partner up or mentor or that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's it from me. So Dave, yeah, do you want to show some resources?
Yeah, just one other thing is about I really do always have a focus, even now, 24 years later, on signing new people up to become members. And as I said with my group, it's just about giving us their email. And if you have a cafe or a building in your park where you can have a sign-up sheet displayed, it can have a dramatic effect, and some basic leaflets, about the group, because you have to catch people when they're there and they're in the mood, they're enjoying the space. Oh yes, I didn't realize there was a friends group. I can join up straight away. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some online resources, and then we'll have questions and Q&A or contributions. Anyone can chip in. So let me see if I can work out how to go online. Share screen. Let's get rid of the chat first. I can't go to the chat. Share screen. What am I doing? So just wanna. So I'm just typing in Parks Community, and it should come up with, just put .org.uk, which I did put in the chat. So this website here, Parks Community, was set up by friends groups for friends groups. By the way, we're not too bothered about whether someone's called a friends group or a user group, but they're a group that's committed to improving a green space. So, and this really is written by and for those kind of groups. Parkscommunity.org.uk. And as you can see, we've got some case studies here, how-to guides. The news is very out of date. I wouldn't bother with that. Some partners. These are national organizations that you might want to find out what they're doing, like the Conservation Volunteers or Fields in Trust. There's many national bodies who have a particular focus. I mean, I'll click on that, you can see, sorry. Partners, so yeah, so we've got the National Federation, Locality, Parks Alliance, actually that doesn't exist anymore. Conservation Volunteers, Groundwork, Bug Life, Frog Life. So that's a useful, handy kind of what are the national groups that we might want to liaise with. So just going back, I think probably the most important is the how-to guides here. So how to, right, go scroll down. These are the different themes for some of these guides. Okay, so campaigning, events and activities, how to organize, funding and finance, partnership working. So when I talked about partnership working on your site with other user groups, then there's a guidance on that. And also working with councils, there's guidance on that. Improvements and so on. Now, starting a friends group and strengthening groups, these are two important themes. Starting a friends group. So there's quite a lot of different things you can sort of just look at. 8 tips how to create a successful friends group. You know, holding an AGM and so on, opening a bank account, how to be an effective treasurer, policy documents. Some people say, oh, have you got a policy on health and safety? You know, at some point, once you're established group, you will need, if you're doing volunteering sessions, you will need to get insurance and have policies, things like that.
Yeah, actually, just a quick one on that. I think some councils, in order to hold an event, like if you wanted to have advertise a picnic community event or so or something, they actually might ask you for some of these policy documents, and in some cases they also may ask for things like insurance policies. And I don't say this to put you off, but just to say that also if you're a new group, often there is support. You know, just contact your local council team and explain the situation. Often there are things that can be done, but yeah, just having some policy documents, and these are the templates that Dave's showing you here.
Yes, you can adapt
something that's
them
increasingly needed. Yeah.
Yes, but don't be scared off by
Exactly.
that. I mean, people, councils and other similar organizations are, you know, really nervous about community groups generally. But
From
there's
like
a
a
million
liability
different
perspective.
there's a million different voluntary groups in the UK doing all kinds of stuff. It's completely normal, and many of them aren't constituted. Many of them don't have these kind of policies. But with friends groups, because we do take on responsibilities, then, you know, you need to start developing, you know, the kind of, policies and so on, having a bank account and everything like that. So
I think also just to say that, you know, your local council parks team will be, you know, they're there to help you with these things. Like if you, it shouldn't be a barrier is what I'm trying to say. If they say, do you have this policy? I think, you know, I'm just saying that help is available either from us or from your parks officers in the council. Like, you know, setting up a friends group is beneficial to absolutely everyone. So everyone wants to do it and support you in doing it. But yeah, sometimes these things need to be looked into or explored somehow. Yeah.
I can't find my Let's Be Friends group. So basically, how to set up a group is set out in a Let's Be Friends group. So what I'll do is I'll search for that here. Let's Be Friends. And then by magic, oh, where is the Let's Be Friends group?
There.
No, it's not. Setting up a friends forum, setting up a Friends of Parks group. I'm not even sure if this is the right one. The Let's Be Friends one. I can't find it now. Let's Be Friends. There you go. Yeah, that's kind of what we've been through, what I've gone through today, some of the principles, some of the activities and the process of getting a new group going, how you can get started. And so it's a very brief, that's a really useful guide. Let's Be Friends, setting up a friends group. So I'll go from that, just very quickly show you Go Parks London. So Go Parks London, as Laura is involved with that, and she introduced that earlier on, but they have this amazing map of London with every single green space in London. And what's interesting, particularly on this on the subject we've got today, is whether there's a friends group. And Laura, I'm sure you can probably explain better than me. Wait a minute, how do I find
If you
friends
type
groups?
Lord Shipwreck into the find park or address, then you can pull up your own. You can show your Lord Shipwreck page.
Oh, there, yeah. Sorry,
There you go.
Lord. So, for example, Lord Shipwreck.
Yeah, that's Dave's park. Oops.
Oh,
Need a space.
yeah. Sorry, I can't see it because I've got pictures, my picture over it. So this is my own park. Blimey, look at that. That's pretty impressive. How do I get mine? How do I minimize that?
There's a zoom in and out on the top right. But you can just click on that space anyway. It will take you to the page.
Yeah, it's not, I'm not really doing this very well, but Lord Shipwreck, and you've got access to lots of information about the green space, but also Friends of Lord Shipwreck. So you've got our website, our Facebook page, and so on. Now you can hover, which I haven't done very well. Probably Laura, you could do it better than me, but you can actually hover boroughs. Let's have a look at boroughs. Let's take a borough, random borough, shall we? What should we do? Barnet. So you can get a borough map of your own borough. Oops, sorry. And some of the, so there's about, oh, what's going on? There's the borough of Barnet. And the individual friends groups are here. Now there's more friends groups, but these are the ones that have actually created their own page on the map. So you might find in your borough some of the friends groups that already exist, and you can click on them and theoretically, maybe you have to go in a bit more, I don't know. Anyway, you can play with the map
You can also
Uh,
use the list on the right. All the ones that have little people next to the name will have a friends group page that you can visit.
yes, I think our pictures, our screens are over the top of that. That's why I couldn't see them. Okay, so anyway, Go Parks map is definitely interested in looking at and trying to find out what other friends groups are doing in your borough or elsewhere, get ideas from them. So I'll just close that now, stop share.
Should we do some
Yes.
questions and answers? Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about what we've talked about so far, or questions about their own specific experience or a site that we can help with?
Can I come in?
Yeah, of course, please do. Yeah.
I'm already part of a friends group that has, in one form or other, been in existence for quite a substantial time. But I wouldn't say it's moribund. No, it's not at all. But we need to reintegrate, I suppose. It's one of those situations where the same people are doing it for a long time, and then they're not necessarily bringing in newer people who can, as time goes on, take over.
Yeah.
So I'm really in that position of fortunate in that there is an extant friends group, but we need to find, and it's a very small area, but we need to find ways of regenerating what we're doing, I suppose. And you've given me a few useful pointers so far this morning. So thank you.
Oh, good.
Okay, good. There is actually,
sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Laura, I just want to say on the Parks Community website, there is a guidance on how to strengthen your friends group.
Okay,
That
right.
might include ideas about getting different new people involved as well.
Sorry,
as
where would I find that? How to
on that Parks Community website,
Right.
parkscommunity.org.uk, how to strengthen your friends group.
Right.
I found as well with our group, one of the relatively easy ways to engage more of the community is by holding an event that will attract people and get them talking about the park and what they'd like to see and how they might be able to engage. So for example, in our site, cake sales have worked really well. You can ask people for donations or just buy some brownie slices or something, and we had some flasks of tea and coffee, and it got people to come by. They would make a donation, and so that helped us as well, because we were able to raise some money. But it was just a sort of a social opportunity for park users to stop by and tell us what they wanted to see in the park, and crucially get their email addresses like Dave was talking about. And also for us to say, what sorts of volunteering activities might you be able to engage in? Because, everyone's circumstances are different. Some people have other responsibilities that restrict their time commitments and so forth. So yeah, we found just like really low-key social events like that in the park were a great way to engage the community and find out how to get people involved.
Thank you.
Great. How about Blissful Nature? You've got your hand up.
Yes, sorry. Hi, my name is Mireille and I live in Brent. I have two questions. One relating to liaising with managers, i.e. and stakeholders, i.e. the council or perhaps some of the contractors within the park. How we've touched base earlier on being able to build a good relationship, which I think is key if we want the group to be successful in the aim. How well or how difficult is it to approach those stakeholders and managers, and if there is any tips. That's my first question. And my second question would be how to add, once you form the group, how to add the group to the Go Park London, so you could be identified as a group within that site.
Oh yes, thank you. I will tackle the second one first. After the meeting, when probably tomorrow or the next day, I will send out links so that you can register to the Go Parks London website. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. I'm sure Dave will have things to say as well, but in Brent, you've got some really great parks officers and also a really strong forum in Brent that can help you with that as well. So
Yes.
are you in touch with Suzanne already?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes,
yes, we've actually, there's a biodiversity officer that we have worked with and who has hosted some webinars for us on biodiversity topics. So I think that it's just a case of introducing yourself, introducing your group, and saying, you know, this is sort of what we are interested in doing. You know, maybe we could have a walk around the park together or the green space together and discuss, you know, what would work for everybody. Yeah, I think that's a really good first step. Is that something that you've done already, or?
I'm in the process of I just wanted to ensure that the friends group was well understood. I understood well the friend groups and how it's formed, and perhaps draft a plan for the parking questions and so on. So it's just the start of the journey, I guess.
I think
But I am in contact with Suzanne, and she's very good. She's very good in linking individuals, and I think you were copied in one of the email that she sent. So thank you for forwarding that link.
So yes, so Suzanne coordinates the Brent Parks Forum, and obviously if you have an existing forum and there's any issues with liaising with the council or whoever, that's really helpful to talk to other groups. I have to say it can be patchy. Relations with management and councils and contractors can be patchy because they're all so overworked. And it may not be, although they might say that they support the community, that may only, in the cold light of day, it's not their priority. It should be if it's the council, and it should be if it's a contractor working for the council. You know, but and also there are in some areas, you know, there's a kind of communications problem between the contractor and the council and whoever. So I think fundamentally it's about building a relationship, which takes time, just like with people. You know, you show that you're sensible and responsible and keen and understand their needs, and they should be trying to do the same with you, and it might take months or even potentially years.
We can't wait for you.
Everybody says it's a good thing that we all work together, but sometimes, you know, it's up to the friends to take that initiative.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess liaising with internal stakeholders within the council and some of the contractors takes time. I think there's an element of trust as well that initially need to be to happen, and then consistent communications, I guess. But yes, I think from my perspective, that's the one of the biggest challenge initially, perhaps. Because obviously.
And many councils do it really well. You know, I think, sometimes it can be difficult, but I think that, you know, some councils do a fantastic job liaising with friends groups. But I think that yeah, Suzanne can certainly point you to the right person to contact in the council, and yeah, my experience with Brent Council has been positive. So I hope it goes well. But yeah, be sure to let us know if there's anything that we can help with in terms of, you know, making sure that if Suzanne can't help in terms of getting in touch with the right person.
Okay.
Oh, I had another thing to say, but I've forgotten now. Sorry. If I
I
think of
think
it,
we
I
should
will
move
mention
on
it.
because we haven't got long left. So we try and
Sure.
get 2 or 3 more questions in. So
Thank you.
Paul, maybe?
Yeah, Paul.
Great, thank you. Apologies for not having my camera on. I've got a slightly flaky internet connection. But I'm in Ealing, in the west of London, and one of the questions, we've got a very diverse borough. One of the questions which I've got, which just interested in your thoughts or experience, is not so much about how we engage with the recognised users of parks, but how we might engage with the people who don't currently use the parks, or perhaps are groups that aren't naturally inclined towards the kind of usual means that you might that we might adopt to engage with people, you know, like Facebook and social media more generally. So it's kind of connecting with those people who might be supportive of green spaces, but at the moment we don't have a kind of natural link in to them. Just any thoughts on how we might
Yes.
connect with them?
I think the first thing is to have a commitment to be as open and inclusive as possible, and that everybody should know that. You know, everybody that uses your space should know the Friends group is there. Anyone can be a member. Anyone can get involved. Yes, it's true that you know, a certain type of person, you know, maybe older people, maybe white people, tend to be drawn to the environmental movement more traditionally, but that's changing. And also, it's really important that we open up and are accessible to people. Now, it can be accessible in different ways. It's not just about publicizing meetings or events. It's also about, like you say, using different media. Say for younger people, to attract younger people, then often the media which they use, they're not using Facebook anymore. You know, so you know, you have to use Instagram and TikTok and whatever. But also, I think partnerships are really important. That if you know, you want to involve a community that you feel is not using the space as much as others, or not getting involved in the collective activities that you're doing, then you can make links with a local mosque or a local youth group or the local school, you know, and really try to build up you know, communications and a relationship. I think, yeah, it's something that will take time, but it's good to make the first step, which is there's a commitment to try to do this. I mean, in my park, one of the things we've done is encouraged other user groups to form. So people say, well, I don't want to go to Friends groups meeting, or, you know, volunteer in the woodland or whatever. And we say, well, look, set up your own group. You want to have a walking group, or you want, you know, it could be a sports team. It could be a gardening group. You know, the people have different kind of passions. And we've now got 20 different user groups in our one park, and we try to get everybody to kind of communicate with each other. So I'm conscious of time, but there is, believe it or not, a guidance document on the parks community website called, I think, maybe it's strengthening your friends group, but certainly, or making your group stronger and more diverse, I think. So that's another guidance document that's there, which goes into a bit more depth on that.
Right, thank you, Dave.
I have a few other things to add as well. So like Dave was saying, people have different interests. Our group found that bulb planting is a really great way to get young families involved. So that's something that you could maybe advertise with the local primary school, for example. Some of those families have continued on with us, so that's a really great way of getting a younger demographic involved. For example, signs in community spaces like cafes, libraries, community centers is a great way of reaching more people. Yeah, Dave mentioned religious groups. Sometimes they have like a volunteering outreach person that you can link in with. So we connected with a local mosque, and they volunteered with us for many years now. Also think about like where you're meeting. Our group made an early mistake, I would say. Our local pub was keen to give us a meeting space because they had a really good community like program. And then we realized that actually like pubs maybe are not a really inclusive environment for meeting. So we do meetings in community centers and libraries now. So that's a place to look, because not all parks have a building on them that they can use for meeting. I know of groups that have connected with like local refugee centers, because that's a really nice thing for refugees to get involved with, you know, doing some gardening and things like that. And also green social prescribing. So that's about allowing people to access the mental and physical and emotional benefits that parks can unlock. And we've actually got a webinar next month about how friends groups can get involved in that. So that's just another way to plug into maybe a different community as well.
Thank you, Laura. Great.
Super. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Coming to the end, we might get one more.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Okay, well, we can wrap up now, I think. Dave, do you have any last thoughts?
No, I think it's been really useful. But Laura, do you want to sort of just kind of wrap it up? Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for attending, and also for your interest in the volunteering community in green and blue spaces in London. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions after the meeting, or if there's any specific support that we can give you and your group, then please do get in touch. And yeah, like we said earlier, we can send out a list of links and some like summary notes as well to help you with your journey. So yeah, just want to say thank you so much to everyone, and yeah, please do get in touch if there's any way that we can help. I'm very happy to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.